In with the two sessions in China, where the fourth session of the 14th National People's Congress has held its second plenary meeting, attended by Xi Jinping and other party and state leaders. Chairman of the NPC Standing Committee, Zhao Leji, delivered the Standing Committee's work report. Gao Yiming has more.
Chairman of China's National People's Congress Standing Committee Zhao Leji reviewed the work of 2025. Zhao said the NPC Standing Committee has strengthened legislative work to support reform and development through high-quality laws. In economic legislation, the NPC Standing Committee enacted the Private Sector Promotion Law last year, establishing the principles of impartial treatment, fair competition, equal protection, and common development. It also revised the Unfair Competition Law to help promote a credit-based economy. In the area of social governance and public well-being, the NPC Standing Committee enacted the Law on Public Health Emergency Response and revised the Law on the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases. The cybersecurity law was also revised to enhance data security and personal information protection. Environmental protection legislation has also been strengthened, including progress on the Ecological and Environmental Code. Zhao said the NPC Standing Committee has carried out its oversight responsibilities and strengthened supervision within the party and state oversight system.
We strengthened oversight over the implementation of the Constitution and laws and over the work of the State Council, the National Commission of Supervision and the Supreme People's Court and the Supreme People's Procuratorate. The aim is to ensure state institutions exercise their powers and perform their functions in accordance with the law and the people's lawful rights and interests. In particular, their democratic rights are safeguarded and fulfilled.
Zhao also said the NPC Standing Committee has expanded foreign exchanges to support China's overall diplomatic agenda. Looking ahead, he said the NPC Standing Committee will promote high-quality development in the work of people's congresses, contributing their share to a strong start of the 15th five-year plan. He said the NPC will continue improving the socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics.
In our endeavour to advance the rule of law, we will place greater emphasis on aligning it with efforts to deepen reform, promote development and ensure stability, while also paying greater attention to safeguarding and promoting social fairness and justice. With a focus on supporting the implementation of the 15th five-year plan, we'll strengthen legislation in key, emerging and foreign-related areas, striving to enhance the quality of our legislative work.
Gao Yiming, CGTN.
Well, earlier on, we talked to CGTN reporter Enoch Sikolia from Beijing about the highlights from Monday's meeting. Let's listen in.
First, let me talk about the NPC Standing Committee, which released a report on just how they can enhance the work of the deputies, who are the lawmakers. And when we talk about the NPC, which is China's top lawmaking organ, well, authorities say that they are improving the support systems that are revised, for example, under the revised deputies law, to help lawmakers stay closely with the people and also have better represent the citizens' concerns. The NPC also emphasized deeper participation of deputies in legislative work, including attending committees, committee meetings, participating in policy oversight, and contributing to draft laws. Now, something to look at also that came out of that NPC Standing Committee's meeting, they highlighted China's growing parliamentary engagement with the rest of the world. Over the past year, delegations from the NPC visited dozens of countries and hosted parliamentary representatives here in Beijing as part of broader diplomatic outreach. Now, the other committee report that was released, or the other report that was released, was from the Supreme People's Procuratorate, where China highlighted plans to crack down on telecom fraud, with the aim of ensuring that China remains the safest country in the world. 41,000 cases involving telecom fraud and related crimes were handled, involving 85,000 individuals, an increase of 1.2%. The 16 ringleaders of the 4 major families crime syndicate in northern Myanmar were sentenced to death and executed according to law. Crimes committed against Chinese citizens abroad will also be punished accordingly, and according to the report that was released. So the whole essence or the hallmark of that report was that China is putting in place laws that ensure that it remains the safest country to live, work, and work on the planet.
Turning to the Middle East now, where large crowds of Iranians have been gathering to listen to the newly appointed Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamene, the son of Iran's slain Supreme Leader, named to succeed him early on Monday. The younger Khamenei, who had not been seen or heard from publicly since the US-Israeli war on Iran started, had long been considered a contender for the post. That is, despite never being elected or appointed to a government position. Iran's military and political leaders have pledged to allegiance to Mojtaba Khamene. This comes amid ongoing attacks by US and Israel on Iran and retaliatory attacks by Tehran. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims it has downed several incoming drones, one over the capital Tehran and 2 near the towns of Jam and Kormoj in the southeastern Bushehr province. Meanwhile, NATO confirmed on Monday that it had intercepted another missile heading to Turkey. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson downplayed the likelihood of a ceasefire as long as attacks continue, adding that Iran would continue to defend itself. Washington has advised non-essential staff to leave its consulate near the southern Turkish city of Adana, that's near a key NATO base. It also ordered US citizens to leave southeast Turkey. Well, let's get more on that story now. Our correspondent Ihsan Keivani is in the central city of Yazid in Iran. He joins us live now via Zoom. Ihsan, what's the latest at this hour after the naming of Mojtaba Khamene as the new supreme leader there?
Well, simultaneous with the announcement of the election of the third leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran by the Assembly of Experts, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, announced that it launched the 30th wave of its operation True Promise 4. Sources close to the IRGC say this attack has been the heaviest missile strike by Iran against Israel since the first day of the war between Iran with Israel and the United States. Mahia.
Right, and do tell us more about what the reaction has been to his naming as the new supreme leader there.
Well, it was after midnight in Tehran when the state television announced the Assembly of Experts' final decision. We saw that within minutes, gatherings emerged in cities across the country attended by pro-government Iranians. And as the public awaits his first public address, it remains unclear whether he will appear publicly, considering the fact that we have very, very high-risk circumstances. Under the Constitution, the Supreme Leader holds the official title of the guardianship of the Islamic jurist. And obedience to him is both politically and religiously obligatory, referred to in religious terms as bay'at. This is why all major political, military, and religious figures in Iran have already congratulated Mr. Mojtaba Khamene and presented their bay'at. Mahia.
Right, and Ihsan, looking at timeframes here, obviously the naming happened early on Monday, but looking ahead, what exactly happens next?
Well, according to the Islamic Republic of Iran's constitution, the Supreme Leader serves as the commander-in-chief and holds the highest authority over the entire political system. This is why the election of Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamene has been so important to the country. From now on, the new supreme leader is the only individual in Iran who is authorized to either sustain the war or maybe pursue a kind of de-escalation. Back to you.
Right, and finally, Ehsan, there is of course that threat from Israel that any new supreme leader would be targeted. How has this threat been taken there in Iran?
Very seriously, in fact. It is believed here that the delay in electing the leader was also due to security concerns. So is the consideration for his first public appearance. He is definitely being taken care of with maximum security measures, but eventually Iranian population and nation expect him to have his first public speech as soon as possible, as soon as the situation is proper.
All right, Ehsan, thank you very much for speaking to us on Africa Live. Ehsan Keivani there in Yazid, Iran. So Iran has a new supreme leader, but who exactly is Mojtaba Khamene? CGTN's David Mbithi tells us more.
The Islamic Republic of Iran named Mojtaba Khamene to succeed his slain father as supreme leader early Monday. The Assembly of Experts, which is tasked with appointing the country's top political and religious authority, said in a statement that the 56-year-old was elected in what they called a decisive vote of the respected representatives of the Assembly. Following the announcement, Iran's IRGC immediately pledged allegiance to the new supreme leader, voicing its readiness to follow his instructions. Mojtaba Khamene was born in 1969 in the northeastern city of Mashhad. He moved with his family to the capital Tehran after the victory of the Islamic Revolution in 1979. After graduating from high school, he joined the IRGC and served towards the end of the Iran-Iraq War. In 1999, Mojtaba Khamene went to Qom, a holy city regarded as a major center of Shia theology for advanced religious studies, gradually emerging as a key political aide to his father. He has largely maintained a low public profile and has never held any official government position, nor has he delivered public speeches or given interviews. Only a limited number of photographs and videos of him have been released. Still, he is said to have maintained working contact with many senior officials across successive governments, as well as close ties with numerous military commanders. David Mbithi, CGTN.
Right, let's get more on that story now. From Washington, D.C., we have Nick Harper standing by. Nick, thank you for your time. What's the immediate reaction from the Trump administration to the naming of the new Iranian supreme leader, given that it comes after Trump had demanded a say in the choice there?
Well, exactly, and we're seeing displeasure here in Washington this Monday over the decision to announce that Mojtaba Khamene is going to be taking over as the new supreme leader. And there is a real fear, I think, around the world, after comments from the US administration, that if the person selected was not to the US's liking, that person would essentially have a target on their back. Donald Trump, in comments on Sunday, said that the new supreme leader is not going to last long without approval from the United States. He made it very clear last week that he wanted to be part of that selection process, likening it to how the United States had had a say in the new leader in Venezuela after the US went into Venezuela with military action at the beginning of January and seized the then president, Nicolas Maduro. Donald Trump, also in comments over the last few days, has referred to Mojtaba as a lightweight, saying that he is unacceptable, saying that the United States wanted someone who will bring harmony and peace to Iran, and making it very clear they did not feel that Mojtaba Khamene was the person to be able to lead the country. The United States wanted to have someone that they believed they were going to be able to work with. So, as a result, we're seeing displeasure, and in comments in the last hour, Donald Trump has said that he is not happy with the selection. He is due to give a press conference in about 4 hours' time from now, and we will likely have more comments from the US leader, exactly what he thinks of the decision to appoint this new Ayatollah.
Right, and Nick, do tell us more about what's being said there in Washington about how this development may impact the ongoing conflict.
Well, really, I think there is concern that it will only lengthen the conflict. There had been some hope that if the person who was chosen to run Iran had the backing of the United States, then the two countries might begin to move towards diplomacy and a move away from military action. But as Iran has chosen someone that is clearly not to the liking of the Trump administration, really the only possible path forward seems to be continued strikes and counter-strikes. Democrats on Capitol Hill are pointing out that we're now into day 10 and there is clearly no end in sight. Even a week ago, Donald Trump was saying that this could be a 4 to 5 week conflict, that it could potentially run even longer as well. And in the back of everybody's minds is the potential of US boots on the ground. It is something that President Trump has warned that he might decide to do at some point. In an interview earlier on Monday, said he was still nowhere near making that decision, but it is something that he is still considering. And if that happens, that would only elongate the conflict even further.
Right. We are hearing reports saying Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner may be traveling to Israel to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. What are we expecting from this meeting?
Well, I guess there's two ways of thinking about it. This could be an opportunity for the two countries who are carrying out strikes against Iran to get in the same room together, to work out some strategy, to work out where things go next. The other way of thinking it is they could be looking for a diplomatic path forward and working out how jointly, in consultation with each other, they can move this into a situation where they can draw Iran to the negotiating table. It is unclear exactly which strategy the US is choosing, but all the moves so far and all of the comments from the US president seem to suggest that military action is the course it has decided upon, and a course that it is happy to stay with for the time being. There are some security perspectives as well that need to be taken into consideration. The fact that these people are travelling to Israel, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff getting on a plane and heading to Israel, which has obviously come under bombardment from Iran. That is a calculation and perhaps has been part of the reason why that trip has not happened during the course of the last week. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that, whether they are together working on a diplomatic strategy or rather working on a military strategy. And at this stage, it seems to be the latter of the two that Israel and the United States are both very much pushing for.
All right, Nick, thank you very much for speaking to us on Africa Live. Nick Harper there in Washington, D.C. Well, let's now bring in Mohamed Higazi, who is the former Assistant Foreign Minister of Egypt. He joins us live this hour from Cairo. Thank you for joining us. What's your take on the significance of the choice of Mojtaba Khamene as the new supreme leader in Iran at this stage in the conflict?
Well, I think it is very important to the Iranian people to feel during the course of war the sense of stability that an early election is happening, and it happened fast enough for the circumstances Iran is facing. The most important is that continuity and stability and an institutional build-up that have created its own choices, like there is an equilibrium between the three authorities, the Revolutionary Guard, the clerical, and the security apparatus. And I think the early choice is another sign that this is a country of an institution, not individual. However, individuals are very important in such ideological theological regimes, and I'm sure that this sense of stability and continuity was very important to the Iranian people at this moment.
Right, and do talk to us about how this is likely to affect the trajectory of the ongoing conflict.
I don't believe that it will change immediately the course of war. It might show strength at the beginning, to gather unity and to regain back stability. And after that, maybe the trajectory can be changed and another mindset will help the situation out. Depends also on what is on the table for Iran.
Right, and now that he has been chosen, what are Mojtaba Khamenei's immediate choices, both in terms of leading the war effort and dealing with the problems inside Iran right now?
I think three dimensions or three aims he should look at. One is the internal stability and continuation. Second, continuing the war till an alternative will be put on the table. Third is to confront the economic hardships and the internal dissatisfaction that exists in Iran for quite some time now.
Right, and finally, Israel did issue threats, as we've been reporting before, about targeting any newly named supreme leader in Iran. How would this action be seen by the Iranian public and Iran's allies?
I think they should be refrained. This is a very dangerous moment in the history of the Middle East. Enough what they have pulled everybody, including the United States, in, and going into more assassination will help nobody. It is only through negotiating table that everything can be addressed. Assassination will add more fire to the existing fire. So I think they have to be rationalized either by the American or by the world community.
All right. Thank you very much for your time here. Mohammed Higazi, former Egyptian Assistant Foreign Minister, speaking to us live there from Cairo. Meanwhile, Iranians poured into the streets to celebrate the selection of Mojtaba Khamene as the country's new supreme leader. Mojtaba succeeds his father Ali Ayatollah Khamenei a week after he was killed in a U.S.-Israeli strike.
This was one of the best decisions made after the revolution. It is a source of pride for all Muslims and all Iranians. We came here to pledge allegiance to our new leader, Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Khamene, and we are proud to be under his leadership. This war will end with the victory of Islam and Muslims under his leadership.
First of all, I congratulate our new leader. The people of Iran are very insightful. Just as we stood behind our martyred leader until now and followed his commands, from now on we will also follow the directives of our new leader, Sayyid Mojtaba Khamene. We assure him that we pledge our allegiance to him from the bottom of our hearts. I'm certain that we will be victorious in this war. We trust his leadership, and the Assembly of Experts has undoubtedly made the best choice. This decision has brought peace to our grieving hearts.
We came here to pledge allegiance to the new leader. We are very happy about this choice. I am truly happy from the bottom of my heart. We hope this path continues and that the cause of the leadership goes on, and that the blood of our martyred leader will also be avenged. I can say that the United States and Israel are nothing in the face of our new leader.
Just a few days ago, we were here mourning our leader. We were all in disbelief. Even now we are still amazed. But it feels as if the blood of our previous leader has come back to life. With greater energy and motivation, we will continue his path, and we will all pledge allegiance to him. I think the whole world is now astonished by this choice, and it will be a strong blow to the Zionists and to global arrogance.
You're watching Africa Live. Here's what's still ahead. The death toll from Kenya's floods rises to 43 as heavy rains batter the wider East African region. Welcome back. Now, the death toll from flooding in Kenya has risen to 43 countrywide. Families are counting their losses after floodwaters swept away homes, farms and vehicles. Heavy rains began on Friday and continued overnight. In Nairobi, the military and police supported emergency services with rescue efforts on Friday night. President William Ruto on Saturday ordered the immediate deployment of a multi-agency emergency response team as well as the release of relief food. At least 30 people have been rescued so far. The Kenya Meteorological Department warned intense rainfall is expected to continue in most parts of the country, increasing the risk of flooding, swollen rivers and transport disruptions. The current rainy season in Kenya and the wider region is expected to continue until May. Now, the IGAD Climate Prediction and Application Center predicts wetter than normal conditions across much of the Greater Horn of Africa. That includes Uganda, South Sudan and parts of Ethiopia and Somalia. Several governments have already issued alerts for extreme weather conditions. Elsewhere, a troika composed of the US, the UK and Norway is urging South Sudanese President Salva Kiir to revoke a decision by the army to carry out operations in Akobo town that's located at the border with Ethiopia in Jonglei State. This comes after the military chief ordered the UN mission, aid agencies and the civilian population to leave Akobo within 72 hours ahead of the offensive. CGTN's Patrick Oyet reports.
The South Sudan People's Defense Forces says the advance evacuation order to civilians and aid workers is to minimize damage ahead of the anticipated combat operations in Akobo. The Troika, however, says if implemented, the planned attack will lead to further displacement and increase the suffering of ordinary people. According to the UN, there are currently 245,000 people in Akobo County. Thousands of them have been displaced from other areas of Jonglei. The African Union is calling for an immediate ceasefire and inclusive dialogue in order to implement the 2018 peace agreement. The Troika supports this call and further states they remain committed to doing all they can to support efforts towards peace in South Sudan. Fighting has continued in Jonglei in the east of the country for months now between forces loyal to suspended Vice President Riek Machar and President Kiir's army. Machar's forces are demanding his release from detention. Machar is currently being tried on charges of treason, murder and crimes against humanity. From 2013 and 2018, fighting between the two sides killed 400,000 people according to the UN, and that violence was only ended with the 2018 peace deal, which hangs in the balance. Patrick Oyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.
All right, Uche is back to bring you all the latest from the world of business.
Thank you, Mahia. And coming up on Africa Live Biz. G7 leaders plan an emergency summit as oil prices surge above $100 a barrel. And Ghana presses on with its new gold and minerals royalty scheme despite opposition from key mining investors.
The greatest journeys, the greatest sights, the greatest adventures.
Here in Kanata, this weir allows the locals to walk on water.
We're far more than just TV news. We're your passport to the wonders of Africa. So let's explore. CGTN. See the difference.
Well, let's start off with some international news. And G7 nations will hold an emergency meeting. They'll be discussing the surging oil prices. Of course, that's amid, escalating U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Now, of course, crude prices have jumped above $100 a barrel this Monday. We've also seen a stock market slumping. Finance ministers will gather to discuss the economic impact of the conflict so far, such as fears of a prolonged disruption to energy supplies through the key Strait of Hormuz shipping route. Now, the Financial Times reported that the G7 meeting will discuss a joint release of petroleum from reserves, as well as coordinated by the International Energy Agency. Now, if reserves are released by IEA members, it will be the first time ever since 2022 when action was taken following the start of Russia's military operation in Ukraine. Meanwhile, we saw the UK's FTSE 100 share index falling 1.3% today on the news. Let's head back to the continent now. And South Africa's largest sugar milling company could soon be forced into liquidation. Tongaat Hulett, founded in 1892, has been under business rescue for nearly 3 years now. That's after an accounting scandal left the company with billions of dollars in debt. Well, now, after a proposed rescue deal collapse, the future of thousands of workers and also farmers in the country who rely on the company hangs in the balance. Sumitra Naidu reports.
For more than a century, Tongaat Hulett has been at the center of South Africa's sugar industry. The company's milling and refinery assets are critical to the country's sugarcane value chain. But the company is on the brink of collapse after attempts to restructure its debt failed. A consortium of investors had proposed a takeover that could have kept the mills operating and saved thousands of jobs. For farmers who rely on Tongaat's mills to process their sugarcane, the impact could be immediate.
Tongaat Hulett were to liquidate, it would mean the end of our businesses as we know it, and I'm talking about everyone that grows sugarcane in this region. We would be looking at thousands, up to 40,000 people who get employed on farms directly being unemployed, people getting unemployed in supporting industries.
The Cane Growers Association represents over 27,000 small-scale farmers and over 100,000 large-scale growers, all depending on getting their harvests to Tongaat Hulett for processing.
This has put me through a lot because I've lost 70%, which means I no longer have income to support my family. If ever they are closing the company, that will be the end of many families. This doesn't only affect staff, but it affects family members too.
The entire sugarcane industry depends on Tongaat Hulett. If the company goes into liquidation, the entire value chain will collapse.
If we don't have a mill opening soon in April, as we were expecting with the new harvesting season approaching, it has huge consequences to not just myself and my own household, but all the people that work for me and all the people that contract for me as well. There's many interconnected work opportunities that will be lost. We are very reliant on the mills opening up as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will not be able to sustain operations on our farms much longer.
The Trade and Industry Minister, Parks Tau, has stepped in to stop the liquidation and is in discussions with all interested parties with the hope of finding some resolution to this crisis. Sumitra Naidu, CGTN, South Africa.
Well, let's shift our focus to Ghana now. The country will press ahead with a new sliding scale gold royalty regime that looks to link state revenues to rising bullion prices. Now, the head of Ghana's mining regulator said that this new scheme will be adopted. That's despite opposition from Western governments as well, and mining executives. Now, this structure ensures that the government receives higher revenues during boom times, while also preventing mining operations in the country from becoming unprofitable during price drops. This royalty regime replaces the flat 5% rate for Africa's top gold producer. Under the sliding scale system, gold miners will now pay 12% when gold hits $4,500 per ounce. That is according to a framework reviewed by Reuters. Of course, gold is currently trading above $5,000 per ounce. Lithium royalties will also shift to a 5 to 12% sliding scale, tied to prices between $1,500 and $3,200 per metric ton. We'll see other minerals keep a flat 5% rate. Now, the CEOs of the world's top gold miners have warned that this new sliding scale royalty regime will choke future investments. Let's turn to Côte d'Ivoire now. More women are now turning to rubber farming to gain financial independence. And as CGTN's Najma Abdirazak reports, a new initiative is helping them overcome traditional barriers to land ownership.
Afome once worked on the family rubber plantation, inherited from her father. But she received only small shares of the income, while her brothers controlled the rest.
It's our inheritance for all of us. But when we were done, I worked with my brothers and I saw that what they gave me were just crumbs. That's why I decided to set up my own plantation.
Today, she runs her very own plantation. The 64-year-old bought her land with help from subsidies provided by the Association of Natural Rubber Professionals of Côte d'Ivoire. It's a program that offers women discounted rubber plants to start their own operations.
I am really independent and free because I know that what I'm doing is for myself. And it's me who has done my thing, so it's for myself. So really, I am happy and I am free.
Other women are following the same path. Solange Kwaku used the same subsidies to plant her hectare. She says she now has a reliable monthly income.
Thanks to my plantation, at the end of every month, I earn 70,000 CFA francs. I'm like a civil servant. My life has really changed because of this plantation, and it's because of it that other women want to grow rubber trees this year as well.
Across the region, cultural traditions in some areas still prevent women from inheriting land directly. Jacqueline Guessan represents women rubber producers, and on their behalf, she negotiates with village leaders and husbands to secure them access.
There are places where girls are not allowed to inherit land, and when that's the case in those places, it's difficult. In these areas, it's also difficult, and we have to. How can we solve this problem? Because we can't just leave these women like that. So now we have to move on to another phase of negotiation. Either we negotiate with the landowners, the village chiefs, the traditional leaders. We negotiate with their husband so that they give a small portion or a portion to their wives.
APROMAC has supported women in rubber cultivation since 2009. Thousands have benefited from these subsidies since, helping narrow the gap where only 5% of women own agricultural land compared to 25% of men. Najma Abdirazak, CGTN.
Well, let's shift our focus to Burkina Faso. The country has adopted a new $64 billion national development plan. Now, this 5-year roadmap is aimed at reshaping its economy, also increasing stability and promoting inclusive growth. Now, the plan represents a sharp rise from the previous framework, with an average annual budget of about $12.7 million, reflecting the country's renewed focus on economic transformation, as well as investment spending, including capital transfers, accounts for 34.5% of the total budget, while additional financing needs are projected at 30.3% of the plan's costs. Now, this strategy is structured around 4 priorities: enhancing security and social cohesion, also reforming the state and governance, developing human capital, and also expanding infrastructure in the country to support long-term economic growth. Well, let's head to China now. The 2 sessions is a chance for the government there to set out its plans and its priorities for the next year. But of course, planning for the future in today's world is no easy task, especially with an ever-changing tariff regime from the U.S. Well, our Vivian Nonis reports on how the Chinese economy is now adapting to an increasingly turbulent landscape for global trade.
Here at the Great Hall of the People, the National People's Congress is largely focused on domestic priorities. But external pressures, including tariffs, are never far from the discussion.
Global economic momentum remains sluggish, while multilateralism and free trade are under severe threat.
The external environment is worsening with greater instability. There is no upper limit on the uncertainty we will see each year.
Over the past year, many countries have faced the uncertainty of Washington's tariff regime. Chinese businesses and the global corporations operating here are no exception.
For companies that operate across borders, the uncertainty is often more of a challenge than the tariffs themselves.
By being local in China, we obviously are working very hard that we can avoid, hopefully, tariffs going forward. But again, this is only partially true because at the end of the day, it's a global product and certain things simply come from the US, as the aviation industry is a global industry. So to a certain point, there's an element where you cannot really de-risk for, where you can just only work on the fact again to say is that the success of aviation is that it is a global industry, and we're asking everybody to recognize that.
So what is China's strategy in the face of tariff uncertainty? Well, what I'm seeing at China's top political gathering going on just behind me is this. Number one, diversification. China has diversified its export destinations. While in 2025, China's exports to the US dropped by nearly 20%, overall exports increased by 6.1%, yielding a record surplus of $1.2 trillion. And Southeast Asia is now China's largest trading partner.
We have shown strong resilience in foreign trade. When the West is dark, East remains bright. When the North is dark, South shines.
Second, internal demand. China is continuing to shift its economy away from exports and is boosting domestic consumption, particularly in services.
In terms of service consumption, key areas include transportation, housekeeping, online audio-visual services, residential tourism, the automotive aftermarket, and inbound tourism. Among these, 3 hold significant potential: performances, sports events, and experiential services.
We see the emphasis on strengthening of demand and consumption, stable economy, technological and industrial upgrading, opening up in services and innovation sectors. Those are all positive messages for business, and Australian companies are definitely focused on those.
And third is upgrading. China is making a huge push to enhance global competitiveness through tech innovation and industrial upgrades.
In terms of high-quality development, we can make technological breakthroughs that will enhance traditional medicine if we upgrade our resources and technology in this field. China will surely usher in a better spring.
In the face of global uncertainty sparked by US tariffs, China and these NPC deputies coming out beside me are focused on building self-reliance, encouraging domestic consumption, modernising industry and strengthening economic ties with countries large and small. Vivian Nunes, CGTN, at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing.
Well, that is all for now on Africa Live Biz, but ahead on Global Business Africa. Of course, Africa's fragile inflation outlook is under fresh threats as the escalating US-Israeli war on Iran sends oil prices surging. We'll bring you more on that at the top of the hour. For now, it is back to you, Mahia.
All right, Uche, we'll see you again in just about 15 minutes' time. For now, here's what's coming up in sports. Kenya gears up to host the 3rd round of the World Rally Championship.
Holding guns. Protesters